No, OpenClaw is not dead, but it can break if you don't know what you're doing. I broke my first 2 agents because I didn't know what I was doing, and I rushed through the setup. No config files, no memory system, no interview. It hit its API limit and then spiraled out of control. It crashed with no warning. This is my 3rd time setting this up. 3rd time's a charm, right? But I'm going to do it right this time. I'm going to go through it slowly and go through it part by part, section by section. So this is going to be part 1 of how I'm setting up my OpenClaw bot to run and work efficiently in April 2026. Yeah, everybody thinks OpenClaw is dead, but I still think there's a lot of potential, and if you do it right, it can work for you as well. I know I posted a video like 3 weeks ago of kind of the same thing, the setup of version 2, but I was kind of rushing through it. It didn't have everything totally figured out. I wanted to kind of go through the process and get the video out. I don't know why, okay? But honestly, in the meantime, there's been so many updates with Anthropic and everything in the AI world that I was kind of lost and just wanted to restart. I figured restarting with a fresh model and 1 model instead of trying to set up 3 in the initial setup, especially before even conducting an interview or anything. I wanted to figure this out and get comfortable using 1 model. I like Ollama Cloud, so we're going to go through kind of my thought process and how I'm setting it up, the new bot, at least part 1. So here's the document that I set up after hours and hours of research. This is kind of my starting point. Part 1, foundation setup, what I'm doing with the bot, how I'm setting it up. There's going to be multiple different parts instead of me trying to set up everything all in one day like last time and fucking everything up. Then an update comes with Anthropic or with OpenClaw and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm going to fly through this pretty quickly. Section 0 is the model setup. I ended up going with Gwen 3.5 running through Ollama Cloud. Now, I like Ollama Cloud because it's pretty cheap. You get access to really everything. It has coding capabilities. You can kind of do anything that a normal agent would need to be able to do throughout the day. Sure, for more complex coding stuff, I'd use Claude Code or Codex with ChatGPT, but for now, this is good. It's pretty cheap. I ended up upgrading to the like $20 a month plan because I was running low, but even with the free plan, you can really get a lot of use out of it. I just upgraded because I was in the middle of spending the whole day setting this up, and I hit my usage limit that day, so I just wanted to be able to get all of it done in one day. But Ollama is really cool. It has a ton of different models. Again, I ended up going with the Gwen 3.5, but there's a ton of different ones to choose from. Why Ollama was my starting point. Again, I kind of just went through that. It's cheap, all-in-one solution. It connects to the internet natively, which was cool because I didn't have to connect my Brave API or anything like that. And it was just a good foundation before adding any complexity, any different models, any different, agents, essentially. It was just a good starting place. Let me get comfortable, and then we can go with adding it later. Section 1 was setting up the hooks. So we've enabling hooks and internal hooks, and then the hooks tokens. So hooks are essentially what allow your bot to automatically run certain behaviors when things happen. Like loading your config files on startup. Without these enabled, your bot is kind of just brain dead after a restart. We'll kind of go into it later, but I wanted an automatic hooked where it would read a short file of what we did the day before, so it didn't have to go back and read everything, and it kind of had some context of what we're working on currently. Section 2 is the interview, and this is probably one of the most important parts of this whole thing. I know I did it last time, something similar, where I told the bot kind of the identity, the mission, how I prefer help, working relationship expectations, important extra info, current projects, blah, blah, blah. But this time I actually put together an interview document. I worked with Claude Opus to put this together. And essentially, these are the questions that the bot's asking me. These are good questions for the bot to know about me. So I put this together after I sent it all of this stuff here. I sent the bot these questions, and I said, after reading these questions, confirm you understand and ask any follow-up questions. Let me know when you're ready for the file that contains the actual answers. So in a separate document, I actually answered out all these questions. Then I sent it to the bot, and it started reading it and interpreting it and understanding it. So who I am, some key patterns that it noticed, follow-up questions that it had for me. Eventually, we put together kind of another document that was like follow-up questions. This is going to be different for you. So once it has the context for all this, have it ask you some more questions, separate document, upload it again. Once I uploaded again, we kind of went back and forth, getting to know each other, and then we started working on the configuration files. But again, the interview is super important because without it, the bot doesn't know who it is, it doesn't know who you are. This was kind of my main issue the first time I set up my agent. I just kind of had it start getting to work and working on tasks before it knew anything about me, knew what we were doing. So it doesn't need to be as long and drawn out as this one, but make sure you conduct at least some sort of small interview to get to know each other in a sense. Section 3 was the config files. So most of this chat is us going back and forth, figuring out, where certain parts of the interview and certain information goes. There's the identity, memory projects, post-compaction, decision frameworks. There's a soul and a few other ones, but basically we're going back and forth and figuring out where stuff goes within these files. You can see these here. So agent, soul, tools, identity, user, all of these. Preview it. It's about knows who I am, time zone, who I am, who Dylan is, all of this. So you can work with your bot or with Claude to put this together, but it's really important to have these configurations as tightened and buttoned up as you can before actually starting and moving on to doing any tasks or anything important. But work with your bot and any other AI services you have to do the interview and get your configuration files figured out. This is honestly probably the most important part to everything. Section 4 was the workspace setup. So I wanted a place that we could send documents, I guess, back and forth. It ended up being a folder on my Mac, so I could upload documents to it that I could read, and then it could upload stuff back, like MD files. I didn't know where it was, so some of this was just me asking where that is and figuring it out. But make sure you have kind of a workspace that you can send stuff back and forth. The gateway service, so 24/7 operation. Essentially, this is having the agent on and working 24/7, right? So, right now or before this, if you close your terminal, your bot dies. We set up a background service so that the gateway runs 24/7 automatically. Even after restarts, without me ever having to touch it again, it reloads itself and eventually reads that daily file of kind of what we did the day before. But if it gets unplugged, the power goes out, whatever, it's able to start itself back up and resume working without me having to manually do it every single time. Section 6 is memory and persistence. We need to make sure the bot's memory system is actually working and that it understands how to preserve the context across sessions, right? I figured out, spoiler, that it's file-based, not session-based. So if you want the bot to remember something, it needs to be in a file. This was one of the biggest mistakes that I made with my first bot. I kept everything in one chat. I didn't compact the sessions, so it was just getting super long. It wasn't actually putting that stuff in its files, even though I said, hey, update your memory and remember this for next time. It wasn't doing that. You just got to be diligent to check the configuration files, and if there's something that you desperately need it to know all the time, update the files, and then it'll know it. You can't always rely on just telling the bot to remember things. The last section is the API and tokens. So always check your usage limits, upgrade the plan if needed. I already did that. And then understand the difference between session limits and weekly limits. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. You have session limits that reset in hours, and then you have weekly usage. I hit my API limit mid-setup with no warning. That's why I upgraded. I kind of spent the whole day setting this thing up, and I didn't want to have to wait for my daily reset, so I ended up upgrading. I'm keeping it because I really like the Ollama cloud service. It feels like it kind of has everything all in one, so I'm going to keep it, but really you can do it on the free model. It just might take a little bit longer if you have to wait for your daily sessions to reset. Now for the key mistakes that I made. I went through a few of these, but not doing an interview before having it do tasks. Don't do that. It's one of the most important things. You want the bot to know who you are, who it is, before it starts doing tasks. Essentially, the agent is a subset of you. You want it to act like you and think like you. It can't do that if it doesn't know who you are. Didn't have config files. Last time I was just telling the bot to kind of update its files. As very generally, I literally just said update your files. I wasn't even specific about it. So make sure you're specific and you understand the configuration files, where certain things go. Not having everything in the heartbeat, for example. Heartbeat goes off every 30 minutes. I think you can change it. I think mine goes off every 30 minutes, but you don't want a huge heartbeat file because then it reads everything every 30 minutes. It'll just burn through a crazy amount of tokens. Not compacting conversations. Once conversations get long, compact them. Even before that, once you're kind of done with the task or done talking to it, compact it, start a new session. Used API without understanding the limits. Again, it's pretty self-explanatory. I didn't understand it. Actually, the first time, this was maybe 2 months ago, Anthropic actually allowed you to use the subscription to do this. So you could connect your Claude subscription to the bot. Now you have to use tokens, which sucks, but I didn't really understand that, so I ended up kind of breaking the bot and fucking up the configuration file. So again, I'm just starting fresh. And then the bot never warned me last time, so I was kind of just spiraling, spamming it, didn't understand it, didn't understand the API tokens and all that. I'm working with my bot to make sure that it actually understands what's going on, it understands what I'm doing, and it can inform me if I'm doing something wrong. What's different now? So the bot didn't know me before. After the interview, it does, and it knows the configuration files. Didn't have a memory system, now it does. Manual startup versus now being able to run 24/7 automatically. No warnings versus now the bot is going to warn me if I'm fucking something up or if I'm kind of going down the wrong route. And then having files everywhere. I just had files all over the place. Now I have one workspace that's easy. From there, I put stuff in Google Drive. Haven't connected it to the bot yet, but I'm being a lot more organized this go around. Some tools I use: OpenClaw, Ollama Cloud, Telegram, Claude, Mac Mini, and actually I did ChatGPT as well. So I still have a ChatGPT subscription, still have a Claude subscription, $20 a month plan. Sucks I have to pay for the subscriptions as well, but I mean they're great. Great models. I love those, and even though I can't connect them here, I'll just work through them on the side. Eventually I'll get some local models set up and figure out how to connect everything together. Maybe I'll pay for the API tokens at some point, but for now I just have the Ollama Cloud for OpenClaw, and then I have ChatGPT and Claude on the side. Any kind of coding projects or any sort of deep dives that I don't necessarily want to go into with my bot. It's very specific things that require a lot of strategy, I'll use Claude for. Next is hardening and upgrade. So part 2, the next video is going to be hardening, making sure that it's kind of foolproof and that I'm continuing to upgrade it and build it out, even further than it is. I don't know if I'm going to do the local Ollama setup in part 2. I might do that in part 3. We'll see how easy it is and if I can figure out the best one to run on my Mac Mini. But next is going to be daily memory file structure. So I think I mentioned this before, but after every day I want it to create a summary of kind of what we did throughout the day, and then in the morning, the next day, I'm going to have it automatically read that from the night before so it knows what we're working on. It's going to be automatically keeping up to date on what it's working on. I don't necessarily want it to read every single configuration file every time. I want it to kind of read a shortened, summarized version of it. Remote access with Tailscale. I might use something else, but essentially I'm going to get remote access set up so I can work on the bot and work on essentially the Mac Mini, but remotely from my personal laptop if I'm away, if I'm at work, at a coffee shop or whatnot. Notion integration. This one's huge. So again, I said I was keeping track of stuff in Google Docs and Google Suite, but I want to get Notion set up on here so that we can kind of keep track of all the ideas, all the projects we're working on, all the to-dos and everything. Even before everything's fully set up, I said I wasn't going to have it doing tasks until everything's set up, but I think this is a small category of tasks that we can do. So Notion, keeping everything organized, keeping everything all in one place, setting up a beautiful, life, business, OS Notion page, and then using that we can continue to build things out. Last is token monitoring and alerts. I have it turned on to notify me, but I think I'm going to have it set up on the agent as well on my bot so that it can just text me when token usage is getting low or I'm going to hit my session limit for the day. But essentially I want it to update me when things are going wrong or reaching their limits. So that's it. This is the foundation. The bot's now working, running 24/7. I can talk to it at any time. Ping, it's typing, it'll text me back. This was just the initial setup. This was kind of the hardest part. From here on out, it's just going to be upgrades and adding on to it. But, next is going to be making it bulletproof. But after that, I'm going to start working on cool projects. I know this stuff's all kind of boring, and I'm still learning too. This video isn't to teach anybody anything. I don't have anything to teach. I'm kind of just talking about my experience and things that I went through. Maybe somebody will look at me and say, I'm not going to do what that dumbass did. So, hey, that's cool too. This is honestly just helping me keep track and learn a lot, recording my progress and keeping track of everything I'm doing. But eventually I'm going to want to set up a trading bot. I want to set up, maybe another YouTube channel, maybe selling some digital stuff online, opening a store. I don't know what we're going to do, but eventually we're going to do something. One thing I for sure want to do is build an app. So soon, maybe after part 2 or 3, I'm going to go through the app building process. Again, I've never built an app, so I'm going to show the whole process of me building it out and doing it. So we'll see how easy or hard it's going to be. But until then, thanks. See you soon.